the DSOC course, which is the District Spouse Orientation course, we found that it's been very helpful for transitioning spouses, transitioning from the fleet or somewhere else onto recruiting duty. And it really gives them, the spouses, a background of recruiting, what to expect, or it really puts things into focus for them, what is happening to them right now when their husband or wife is a staff sergeant on recruiting duty, why they're not coming home at a certain time, or why they have to do certain types of activities as far as prospecting. It kind of really brings it into focus for them, and lets them understand what's going on so everything can be on a level playing field between both parties. Because when recruiters go home and tell their wife, if you just tell it to them, they may not understand it fully because they have other things going on. But if they've heard it somewhere or if they've seen it talked about in a structured environment, then when their husband or wife comes home and tells them about it, they understand, hey, you know what, I remember so-and-so talking about that, and now I understand what you're talking about.
My husband's in the band normally, so his hours have always been crazy. I mean, birthday ball season, he worked every Friday, every Saturday, sometimes something, you know, it was just, he had a gig this time, a gig that time. I was used to kind of sporadic hours, so when everybody was like, oh, recruiting is horrible hours, I'm thinking, I got this, I've been doing it for 10 years, right? No big deal. And then I got here and it was like a slap in the face. It was a little more intense than even I was ready for.
Out here on recruiting duty, it's kind of you and your family, and explaining to them how our standards are high, so we have to look really hard for those people who are qualified and willing to take on this challenge, and explaining to them that takes longer. It takes a little longer to look, and that we're really invested into everybody that we say, hey, you're qualified, come in and get some more information. I'm explaining to them that, hey, sometimes I'm going to miss dinner frequently, you know, and I might not be able to make every school function, but I'm doing it for the betterment of the Marine Corps and the betterment of the country. And the family really, they're pretty good at understanding how that works, and understanding that, hey, it takes a special person to be a Marine, and therefore you have to look a little harder.
And it's not like we send them to recruiter school, but we do give them a basis to build on, understanding the enlistment requirements and things like that. So that helps them out. Keeping it light, I try to keep it light because I want them to really understand. And if I can give someone one thing, like when we go visit an RSS, if I can give the Marines one thing that'll make them better, then we've done our job. Same thing, that's the same approach we take at the DSOC. If I can help one spouse who may be feeling, you know, down or uninformed, or really not really understanding what happens when their husband or wife leaves and goes to work, if I can really enlighten them and help them to understand, and maybe they can support their Marine a little bit better, then I think that we've done our job.
It definitely helps, because now I can be like, oh, did you get all your ACs in? You know, how many did you get today? Were any of them productive? You know, got any appointments? Did any of them turn into interviews? You know, I know which questions to ask to see how productive his day was, to kind of gauge, you know, where he's at for the rest of the week, I guess. I went to REI for some cycling shoes last week, and so I'm thinking, oh, these guys are in shape, right? You know, I'm like, but I don't know how old he is he of 8? You know, I don't know. So like the guy's putting my cleats on the bottom of my shoes, I'm like, so do you like working here? You know, just to kind of, he's like, oh, I spent 3 years in the Coast Guard. I'm like, dang, can't give him a card. So I understand how it feels to, you know, have to strike up a conversation out of thin air and then still get nowhere because they're not qualified or something, you know.
Hi, Dad. Hi, Squish. Yes. I'm just hoping that